Hi everyone, I'm Dan, and welcome to Voice of Geekdom. This is the latest video in a series which covers J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion, chapter by chapter, story by story, examining the text and breaking down the events of the overarching plot. Last time, we learnt about the 14 Valar, both their individual aspects and also some details on the nature of the various relationships that existed between them. We are also introduced to a few of the Maiar spirits who served them, and lastly, we learned a little more about Melkor and were introduced to some of our chief antagonists. And now, we witness the birth of history. In the beginning, perpetual war rages between the Valar and the Dark Lord Melkor. Melkor's violence in this period is the stuff of legend, even to the yet-to-awaken firstborn elves. The primordial world of Arda is lifeless, and virtually featureless at this time, as the powers of Arda are physically unable to begin the long task of bringing shape to Ilúvatar's vision during Melkor's onslaught. And then, just when it seems like the violence would never end, the 14th and final Valar enters the world. Tolkas Astaldo the Valiant is the strongman and champion of the Valar. He is not a thinker or a philosopher, but he is a fiercely loyal ally to his friends. Tolkas seems to embody Ilúvatar's sense of immediacy and action, being rash and quick-tempered, but also quick to laugh, even in battle. He lives for the moment. Melkor retreats in hatred and fear at the arrival of Tolkas, and there is peace in the world for a time. The Valar then set to work, and Aule and Ulmo, under the direction of Manwë, brought order to the seas and the lands and the mountains. And while Varda turns to shaping the skies above, Yavanna begins to create and fertilize the first flora in the world of Arda. Soon after, the world, which will for a long time yet be without a sun or a moon, needs a light source, and Aule the Smith is again the Valar to provide it. Aule, at the prayer of Yavanna, wrought 2 mighty lamps for the lighting of the Middle-earth which he had built amid the encircling seas. Then Varda filled the lamps, and Manwë hallowed them, and the Valar set them upon high pillars, more lofty far than are any mountains of the later days. The northern lamp was called Ilúin, and the southern, Ormal. Under the light of the lamps, the first seeds planted by Yavanna begin to sprout and take root. At this time, the continent is one enormous symmetrical landmass, something like the prehistoric giant supercontinent of Pangaea, but in perfectly symmetrical ovoid shape. In the prehistoric period of Middle-earth, and then onto the early days of recorded history, we see, many times over, the geography of Arda itself going through seismic changes due to the violence between Melkor and the Valar, and much later, with Sauron and the Númenóreans. The Valar build their residence in the centre of the continent upon an island, Almaren, on the Great Lake, where the light of the 2 lamps mingles and overlaps. There the Valar celebrate their victories and all of their progress, and hold a great feast, with all of the host of the Ainur present. The hero of the hour and the toast of the town, Tolkas gets married to Orome's sister Nessa at this feast, the only time we see the powers of Arda actually wedding one another. If Manwë and Varda are the power couple of the Valar, Tolkas and Nessa are certainly the party couple. Nessa, the lithe and fleet-footed, enchants all of the Ainur with her majestic dancing during the ceremony. Meanwhile, whilst the Valar are busy putting their plans into motion, Melkor has not been idle. He spends this time building and fortifying his first great stronghold of Utumno, in the far north. And from there, unbeknownst to the Valar at first, he begins to spread his corruption into the world. The evil of Melkor and the blight of his hatred flowed out thence, and the Spring of Arda was marred, green things fell sick and rotted, and rivers were choked with weeds and slime, and fens were made, rank and poisonous, the breeding place of flies, and forests grew dark and perilous, the haunts of fear, and beasts became monsters of horn and ivory and dyed the earth with blood. Melkor waits for the perfect time to strike, and after the feasting has ended and the Valar are resting, his moment is at hand. He emerges from his hiding place in the frozen north and commits his greatest act of destruction yet, toppling the two enormous pillars that the lamps rest upon, rending the earth itself as they come crashing down to the ground in a blaze of molten fire. Melkor's role in shaping the topography of the continent itself is one of destruction. In geological terms, he is the tectonic fault line that creates the mountain range. He is the volcanic eruption that cools the planet's surface. He is the tidal wave that defines the coastal regions of vast continents. The world is forced to change because of his violent influence. In Tolkien's works there is always hope in adversity, and we might do well to remember here the words of Ilúvatar to the Ainur upon the completion of the third theme of the great music. For he that attempteth to alter the music shall prove but mine instrument in the devising of things more wonderful, which he himself hath not imagined. Melkor alters the music, and the music finds a counterpoint, and new melodies are created. In the wake of the turmoil that Melkor causes, the Valar have no choice but to retreat, and they migrate west to the continent of Aman. There, they create a new kingdom, and raise the mountains of Pelori along the eastern coastline as a defensive measure against Melkor, and there they create the realm of Valinor and the holy city of Valmar, heaven on earth. But now the world needs a new light source, and Yavanna, power of growing things and all the world's vegetation, and Nienna, power of grief and mourning, combine their powers here to create the two trees to replace the lamps. Yavanna sat there long upon the green grass and sang a song of power, in which was set all her thought of things that grow in the earth. But Nienna thought in silence, and watered the mould with tears. In that time the Valar were gathered together to hear the song of Yavanna, and they sat silent upon their thrones of council in the Mehaxanar, the Ring of Doom, near to the golden gates of Valmar, and Yavanna Kementari sang before them, and they watched. This conflict over the light sources of the world is the major conflict which drives the plot, and one of a number of important themes in the story. And as the Valar watched, upon the mound there came forth two slender shoots, and silence was over all the world in that hour, nor was there any other sound save the chanting of Yavanna. Under her song the saplings grew and became fair and tall, and came to flower, and thus there awoke in the world the two trees of Valinor. Of all things which Yavanna made they have most renown, and about their fate all the tales of the elder days are woven. The creation of the trees is significant for many reasons, but one important note is that they signify the beginning of the count of time. Each of the two trees, Telperion the silver and Laurelin the golden, radiates light in a cyclical manner every 7 hours, but with 1 hour of crossover, where the one waxes and the other wanes, resulting in a 12-hour day. However, and although this isn't explained in such depth in the Silmarillion itself, 1 Valian hour is equal to roughly 7 hours of normal terrestrial time, and the entire calendar during this period is structured differently, so that 1 Valian year is equal to over 9.5 of our years. I prefer not to think about this conversion metric too much. Like the professor, narratively, I am very much content with the phrase, the deeps of time. And so then, for a long period after the creation of the trees there is peace. The lords and ladies of the Valar remain largely cloistered in their newly claimed paradise during this time. but several of them, particularly Yavanna and Arome, mourned for and raged over Melkor's destruction of all the natural world, and began to venture to Middle-earth periodically to begin healing the planet again. During the years of the trees, Middle-earth is in darkness, and there Melkor still broods. The chapter closes with a flashback to the thoughts of Ilúvatar during this whole age, following the departure of the Valar and their descent into Middle-earth. Behold, I love the earth, which shall be a mansion for elves and men, but the elves shall be the fairest of all earthly creatures, and they shall have and shall conceive and bring forth more beauty than all my children. And they shall have the greater bliss in this world. But to men I will give a new gift. This new gift is human mortality, another of the major themes in Tolkien's work. Tolkien, through Ilúvatar, gives us an insight here into his ideas about humans' temporal existence. We are finite in our time on Earth, and that gives us a strength of purpose and a drive to make our mark in the world, which the immortal elves lack our perspective on. We spoke last time, in covering the Valar Quenta, of the Halls of Mandos. The spirits of both elves and humans are gathered in the timeless halls of Mandos when they die, but here their fates are separated. Elves, we know from the extended writings and correspondence of Tolkien, are eventually re-embodied and live peacefully in Valinor, the Undying Lands, when they die. Men, on the other hand, dwell only a short space in the world alive, and are not bound to it, and depart soon whither the elves know not. The Valar, we know from the Ainulindale, do not know of everything that is to come in the ages ahead. Not even Mandos, the doomsman of the Valar, or his wife Vaere, who weaves all things that have ever been in time into her storied webs. This preoccupation with the unknown hour of the coming of the children will affect the Valar greatly over the course of the next couple of chapters. Next time, we will learn more about the relationship between Aule the Smith and Yavanna, and we will be told of the origins of two more of the races of Middle-earth. Thank you for watching Voice of Geekdom. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and leave me some feedback in the comments below. You can help the channel to grow by sharing this on your social media sites or sending this video to a friend whom you think might enjoy it. And if you'd like to experience more content like this, hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to enable notifications, which helps you to stay up to date with my latest uploads.